The prodigal son, Chad Townsend. What a great kick. And Chad Townsend plays on. Plays to the whistle. Kicks away for Valentine Holmes. Cronulla's in again. Wow. Chad Townsend, brilliant.
Yes, what's going on, fam? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. Today's episode is brought to you by Cronulla Beer Co., your newest local craft beer company. Make sure you check out the website www.cronullabeerco.com.au and make sure you follow us on social at Cronulla Beer Co. That leads me into today's guest, my current teammate, Josh Dugan. Brother, welcome. Thank you for coming on the show.
No dramas. Thanks for having me.
Mate, how's life outside the bubble at the moment?
Oh, it's been hectic, to be honest. Not having to stay inside or
No temperature checks.
and doing the app every morning and things like that. So, it's been good. Been able to get out down the cafes and down the local for a few schooners and that sort of thing. So it's been unreal.
Yeah, mate. I've done the same thing, to be honest. I found that once I finished, the bubble was done, our last game, and then you kind of go into just this mode of trying to get out there as much as you can, catch up with mates. Hey, the first thing I wanted to do was just catch up with my friends and family. Hey.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think the first day out of the bubble, I rang one of my good mates and said, let's get down to the local for a beer. I was just stinging for one. Been hanging out all year for one. But,
Yep.
yeah, like a bit like that, because we don't know what's going on with the season and all that sort of stuff next year. So I've tried to do as much as I can in the break.
Yeah, awesome, mate. All right, let's get straight into it. Some footy chat. How did you find this season? Obviously, probably will never have a season like this ever again. Tell me how you found it. Obviously, we had temperature checks. We had to fill out the app, which was an absolute punish. But how did you find it?
Yeah, look, to be honest, the at the start, no crowds and that sort of thing for like round 1, round 2, whatever it was. I wasn't too fussed about it. Then we had the sort of 6-week, 8-week period where we weren't doing anything. We were at home. We weren't allowed to do anything either, and we had to do our own training and all that sort of stuff. That was pretty tough. But in saying that, it sort of helped my knee out a little bit to get through the rest of the year. And then, that bubble was that was tough.
Yeah.
For me personally, towards the end, I started really getting jittery and, just felt isolated, so to say. Like you got all your teammates and that, and it's good, and you can spend so much time with them, like during the day at training or whatever. But when you go home, your missus is allowed out, you're not. You have to stay at home. You can't even see your in-laws. You can't see your family. Like I had family come up for my 200th game, and they weren't even allowed to stay with me, sort of thing. So. And then, after the game, had to just say g'day behind the fence.
Not even allowed to go over to the fence,
Couldn't give them a hug or a kiss or anything. And I hadn't seen my parents for, 6 to 8 months too. So, that was probably the toughest thing. But, everyone was in the same boat. So, it was a tough season. And everyone sort of said, is there an asterisk next to it? And I said, no way. If anything, there should be a golden star on it because, every team's done it tough. And, Melbourne moving to the sunny coast for however long they were up there and to still, go ahead and win the comp, it's a great feat. Yeah,
it was huge. You just quickly touched on your knee, mate. How's it going at the moment? Obviously, people talk about it, but, mate, you've been, showing some resilience and been on the field, on the training paddock a lot, mate. How's it going at the moment?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. To be honest, I haven't really run too much. I've been doing a lot of, boxing and other sort of cardio just to try and keep up with the fitness. But I'll probably start doing a little bit of running over the next couple of weeks leading into heading back in.
Yeah, into day one of pre-season.
Oh, day one, the dreaded day one.
Yeah, our for people who might not know, our rookies actually went back in, I think it was yesterday, and us senior boys, we've still got a few more weeks off. But a few photos have popped up online. Ronnie's looks like he's, telling everyone.
Ronnie's telling the fake lies and that, saying he's enjoying it.
Well, another adaptation we had to... adapt to, this year was the fly in, fly out, which we actually had, some success on the fly in, fly out. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, to be honest. You're up a bit earlier on days that you'd normally sort of sleep in and things like that, but you're up and about and you're all together, you get up there, you play cards, you have a laugh and things like that, and then you sort of switch on. And I'm not really one that sleeps after games either. I'm usually up till 3 or 4 a.m. anyway. So, flying back that night was probably better for me. I was actually tired when I got home at 1 or 2 in the morning. So, it worked out better for me, and I didn't mind it.
So for people who might not know, like last year in a normal world, we would probably fly out the day before if we were playing the Gold Coast, stay in a hotel that night, and then play the game, and then if it was like a 7:30 game, we'd obviously stay and fly back the next day. But now it's like the bus, or you drive to Bankstown Airport, and then you don't even go through customs or anything. You just walk on the tarmac, walk on the plane. It's like
no check-in.
No check-in. Senior boys, you pick your seat. And then leftovers, rookies, you pick wherever you want to go. I actually didn't mind it. I mean, I like the fact that we had a successful record with it, and the boys just adapted to it. That was what really I thought was really good. But next question is like, mate, what has changed for you when you were younger to now with your preparation for games? So obviously, like you've got physical, mental, I guess tactical preparation, but now being a veteran, been around a long time compared to when you were a rookie.
Yeah, look, I think when I was younger, I probably looked too much into things and probably overthought it.
Yeah.
And was probably too much into the tactical side of things.
Yep.
And now I'm a bit more laid back, and because I've played against these players and that sort of thing for a long time now, I sort of can tell certain things about certain players without even having to do too much on it.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest thing on the tactical side. Mental side, I've always been pretty laid back, pretty easy going. Like I said, late games I'll sleep in, have a bit of brekkie, and just kick back, play some COD or something like that, and then roll into the game. But to be honest, it's more so just the hype around games now. There's a lot more televised things, and a lot more social media to do with it, and all that sort of thing. So that's probably the biggest thing that's changed.
I feel like you, as you get older, and this might be for you as well, but for me, it's like you understand your role a lot more in the team and like what's expected of you when you play games. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, exactly. And, being one of the senior guys too, you sort of take it upon yourself to do your own bit on the side or whatever, and know that you're going into the game and your role, the bloke next to you's role and that sort of thing. And, being on an edge, you got your left side, right side, and your middle. So you kind of learn each person's role in that thing, and then
effectively that's the team's role.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So you learn the team's role, and
and
then the guy inside and outside you, and you sort of help them on the run if they get mixed up or anything like that, and then just go from that.
Yeah, sweet. Well, mate, as I mentioned, you've been around a long time. NRL veteran, but I had Ronaldo, young Ronnie. And anyone who knows Ronnie, knows he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, but he's got a soft side to him, and he's someone that really, I guess, fits in well with our playing group. Everyone loves him for that. But he's obviously got a humble background, and I'm very appreciative of what he's got. And he paid yourself a lot of credit in helping him come into the NRL and dealing with, I guess, the effects of playing in the NRL. But, how do you go about giving guys like Ronnie or younger guys advice? Does it sit well with you? Is it something you're comfortable with?
Yeah, definitely. For me, as long as a kid coming through doesn't feel like he's owed anything, so to say, like he doesn't come in with, arrogance or anything like that, doesn't come in like, this is my spot now, whatever like that.
Yep.
I'm more than happy to go outside of wherever I am and help them out if I can. And even still, it's a team environment, that sort of thing. And I've never sort of had that arrogance or that ego where I'm not going to try and help someone if I can.
Yep.
Especially with footy and even more so off field now. I've been through a few things and that sort of thing. And I think that's where the young guys probably come to me the most about is off field stuff and how to handle certain situations and things. And, not even if they don't come to me, it's just sort of, I've been there, I've been in your position.
Yeah.
I know what not to do, so just don't do it.
What do you think, and it's easy, I guess, to look back now, but, the things that you potentially would have got yourself in trouble off the field when you're a young kid, they're lessons in life, aren't they? And they have helped mold you into the person you are today. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, definitely. I've always said it. I'm a big believer of things happening for a reason, and learning from those things. And sometimes you need that kick up the bum to really steer you into the right direction. And that was probably what happened with me. And I was 22. Had everything handed to me at 18, I'd signed a big contract with Canberra.
Yep.
You know, it was the next big rookie out of Canberra. There was a lot of hype around me, Croaks, and guys like that.
We're
the next breed, the next breed for Canberra, and you know, the future's bright and all that sort of thing. And it wasn't so much that it went to my head; it was just that, you know, it was there and it was easy for me at the time. Like I was so reliant on my natural talent and things like that I didn't really do too much outside of that.
You do that as a kid,
yeah,
and it's not until you get older where you
get
learn
complacent,
that.
yeah. And it wasn't until I went to the Dragons and I seen guys like Ben Cray and Benny Hornby and Dean Young and the way they looked after themselves and things like that. And then I was lucky enough to play Origin in 2013 after being sacked, and then went to the Dragons that year, and I was lucky enough to play Origin. And just spending time in there with those guys and just seeing how professional they were off the field and how they kept their bodies going and things like that really sort of opened my eyes. And then from there, you know, I really started to take care of my body as best as I could. And, you know, every now and then I copped an injury that, you know, you can't help. You don't go into games, you know, trying to get
contact injury.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always gone 100 mile an hour in every game, and that's probably my downfall at times. But
I've heard, I feel again, and not a lot of people have heard this, but I've heard it being a teammate of Duke's. We've played together for 3 years now, so quite a while. And if I've seen a few times where Doogie is playing fullback, and they've obviously kicked, and I've sort of run back to get back on side, and Doogie's just sprinting 100 mile an hour just straight into the defense. And I've heard the sound, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just me being a halfback. You just like, oh, he's just
yeah. I guess even when I was younger, I sort of tried to do that. I just sort of, because I was a little bit smaller, I knew that if I just went hard, it'd be harder to tackle me.
Yeah,
and like
there's no self-preservation.
Yeah, exactly.
None
so I just tried to get as many meters as I could on the kick return, and you know, hopefully get us on the front foot and go from there. And you know, that's what I pride myself on.
I love that. What would you say to one of our younger players who might have had a bad game, might be getting, you know, copping it on social media, he might be in the papers getting copping it, saying his performances aren't good enough? What would you say to that guy, you know, after he's probably read the comments and read the articles? What would you say to him?
Look, I think if you've had a bad game or whatever, like, it's easy to sort of blame yourself or be down on yourself or whatever, but it's a team game. You know, there's always next week.
Yep.
So you can dwell on it and be pissed off at yourself or whatever for, you know, 24, 48 hours. But as soon as that's over and you're back into training for the new week, that's the new week. You just got to leave it behind you and, you know, move on to the next thing.
I love that because, you know, we're always talking about at the Sharks, and I think, like, mistakes or errors in the game, like, they're a part of the game.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, you're not going to have the perfect game ever. And I think just the fact that, you know, trying to encourage your teammates to move on to the next thing. And you're right, because after a game, like, losing, I think, is like the worst feeling in the world. After you come off the field with an L, it's not a good feeling. But a W, on the other hand, it's like, man, the whole week's good. But then it's like, so after an L, you cop it on the chin. You probably, you know, have to cop. You can't listen to the outside noise. You can't listen to the outside noise. You know that your teammates have your back no matter what. So you need to deal with it in your own way. Come to training. You can't afford to mope and, you know, sook around. You need to be into training, getting ready for the week after.
Because if you do sort of dwell on it for too long, it can hinder on your performance the next week too, and then you can string a few bad performances in a row together. Yeah, and that's definitely not something you want to do. You want to be able to, you know, go, right, this is where I stuffed up. This is where I'm going to do better, and then you know, move on.
And people, you know, ask me throughout my career, you know, I've had performances where I haven't played the best on big stages, and I'm sure you have as well. But people ask me, you know, would I like my time again there? And I'm like, no. You know, whatever I have done in my career up to this point, it has made me into the person I am today. And I'm sure you would agree, especially, you know, whether it's on the field or off the field. Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't change those things because you are the person today because of the stuff that you've been through, correct?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the amount of times, you know, I lost a couple of Origin series before I won my first one. And, you know, a couple of the ones that I lost were close. Like, we lost one game by a point and then lost the decider by a try on the hooter. So, you know, things like that. But then when you win it, it's just like, it was all for this. So
yeah, definitely.
Like, you learn from whatever you've been through, and it makes you the person you are. It makes you, you know, grow.
Let's quickly talk about your Origin career, because mate, it's phenomenal Origin career. And, you know, you just touched on, I guess, probably New South Wales. You played in that era where, you know, Queensland were just so dominant. Yeah. Like, you were putting up performances which were, you know, blowing people away. You know, was it one Brad Fittler medal?
Yeah, 15.
15, the Brad Fittler medal, you know, in the series that you lost. But tell me what it was like to play against that Queensland team and what motivated you to play so well for the Blues over that stretch.
Yeah, look, there's probably, you know, 4 or 5 Hall of Famers in that team in that era. You know, you got GI, Thurston, Cronk, Slater, Smithy, just to name a few. And then you had guys like Chambers and that as well. And I still remember when I got picked in 13, I think I was playing centre, and it was my first Origin game in ages, and I was marking against GI. And I just thought to myself, what am I going to do with this big bastard? You know, like, he's huge. I'm only 23, and I'm like, he's like a machine. Like, literally, I played with him in the Aussies and that sort of thing. And I remember we were in the UK, and he got bagged for having a bad day, like, playing. And then the next week, I just watched him just trample blokes for about 80 minutes just straight. Scored 2 tries, set up another 2, and just... He's one of those guys that could just turn it on whenever he wanted. And
he'd lethal fend on him too.
Yeah, from 13 onwards, me and him, we had some great battles. You know, it was unreal. Like, I love that battle, going in against the best players in the world and that sort of thing. And when I was playing fullback, I loved going up against Billy because I knew how good he was, and I always wanted to outdo him. And, you know, going back to 13, when I got picked in the centres, I just thought, right, first tackle, I'm just going low on him because he's going to know, because I knew I hated getting tackled low because he liked using his fend and all that sort of thing. So I just went straight under him the first tackle, and then he just knew I was there from the get-go. And, you know, we had some good battles over the years.
I love that. And, you know, we just spoke about the winning series in 14. How was that, you know, beating that Queensland team?
Yeah, it was unreal. You know, I got a late call in too. I'd only played two games that series. Yeah. And, I still remember Hainsey just getting the ball and running it out the back of the dead ball line in the Blatchy's Blues, and he was on the fence, and I was trying to chase him, give him a cuddle, like, we'd just done it, we've won it. And then, he was
been a long time.
Yeah, too busy, like, layering up with the crowd and that. And then, you know, guys like Gal getting his series win and things like that too. You know, it was unreal, and Laurie as well. So, yeah, it was an awesome time. What,
outside of Origin now, I guess moving quickly back into the NRL before we move on to your next bit of some more stuff, but what do you think has been the funnest, most enjoyable season of your NRL career so far? You've been playing for 12, 13 years. Is there one that sticks out?
Probably... Again, 15, I made the Blues team. I won the Brad Fittler medal, and then I played my first game for Australia. Yep. I was at the Dragons at the time, and, you know, obviously, like, the Dragons were sort of always on the cusp of the 8 when I was there. Yep. We're sort of going through that rebuilding stage again and all that sort of thing, and a few young guys coming through and whatnot. But, yeah, I think that season in just itself, after winning the Origin series in 14 and then getting my first crack back at fullback in 2015 in Origin, and then winning the Brad Fittler medal at fullback was good. And then, you know, obviously played my first test for Australia, and then from then went on to play, 16, 17 as well. And, probably just 15 as a whole for accomplishments. 15
and then 21 when we win the comp.
Yeah, exactly. Last string of the bow.
Let's get it. All right, let's move away from football now. What does Doogie do away from footy?
Yeah, look, love me fishing, love gaming. Yep. And got my father-in-law's Harley, so
you just rode it here. I don't mind out the front.
Yeah, I don't mind just going for a cruise every now and then, just getting out. Days like today too, it's pretty good outside. Bit hot, but always good just cruising along and, not worrying about anything.
You just touched on gaming, and it's probably an industry, I guess, that's just blown up over the last few years. And I know that a lot of our boys absolutely love it. Every spare time, they've got like their own group chat talking about. They're all gaming against each other, all playing the same game, which I think is awesome. I love it when I hear all the boys playing together. But how'd you get into it? What are some of the games you play?
Yeah, look, I started gaming when I was 10 or 11. I had a PS2 and that sort of thing, and Nintendo 64, and just went on from that. But I guess over the last couple of years, I got a a bit of an opportunity to go with Mindfreak, and I met Albert, the owner and the creator of it, and that sort of thing, and he was just looking to branch outside of the esports a bit and pick up a few just people inside different industries.
Yep.
And so I think he picked up me, picked up a couple of AFL guys, a couple of the A-League boys, and just things like that, just to branch out a bit. And it's been pretty good. I haven't streamed as much as I wanted to this year, just with everything going on. But it's obviously something that I'll probably keep doing just as a hobby to begin with. But seeing how far down the track we go and that sort of thing, I got other things that I want to do after footy, but. If I can do that as a side hustle, then why not?
I mean, that was going to be my next question. Is like content creating, I guess, which is what they call it. Is this something that you would potentially do after footy and look to do it on a more consistent basis, or as a side hustle?
Yeah, I'd probably do it more as a side hustle than try and do it full time. It's good fun. Interacting with people and people watching you rage in a game sometimes, and sometimes I'll have a good one. If not, I'm raging at it, and it's funny and it's good fun. And like I said, you get to interact with people you probably normally wouldn't too.
Yep, I love that, because my gaming or side hustle is probably like the podcast. Like you and you boys are gaming, I'm doing stuff like this, and I love that. And that leads me into finding that balance between football and interests outside of football. And I feel like personally, if I'm too invested into football, my performances just aren't stacking up. But if I've got a good balance between, I guess, everything that's in my life, I feel like I'm a much happier person. And once I get to training, it's like once I step over that white line and I'm training, it's like, boom, I'm zoned in, ready to go. What's your take on it? Yeah,
pretty much the same. I think when I really started playing good footy, it was when I had a real good balance off field as well. So when I was younger, but in Canberra and that sort of thing, like I said, I was completely relying on my natural ability and things like that, and I was so invested in it, and that was my only identity. And then now I'm a bit older, I've realised that footy, that's what I do, but it's not who I am. And so I've tried to do a few things off the field with study, and obviously I love my fishing and stuff like that. So that's a plan too for after footy. Maybe starting my own charter and things like that with one of my good mates, and doing that. And then obviously with the study that I've done, community and social work and mental health first aid and counselling diploma, things like that. So, be looking at maybe working in a juvenile justice or youth centre, or even as a counsellor at school or something like that, just helping youth.
That's epic. I absolutely love that. You just touched on fishing. I know you got a nice boat. Haven't been out on it yet. I'm still waiting for it. But talk to me a bit about fishing. Like, how'd you get into that? I know you go out a fair bit. I've seen some of the catches, man, impressive. Like, something you enjoy doing quite often.
Yeah, look, I grew up in Canberra, so the nearest water was probably an hour and a half away down south towards the Snowy Mountains. Lake Yukonbean and Old Adaminaby and all that. And ever since I can remember, I think even when I was just walking, I think my old man would take me down there camping with mum and my sister and things like that, and we'd be fishing down there, and then grew up going down South Coast like Churros Heads and all that sort of thing. So, just got into it at a young age, and then I bought my first boat when I was, I think, 18, and ever since then, just love it, love being on the water and, being able to go out whenever I can and that sort of thing. I haven't been out in ages, to be honest. I mean, mate just took my boat down to Browley for the weekend. Yeah. He said it was all right, but I'm stinging to get out.
You just touched on Canberra, and I guess growing up in Canberra. What's it like growing up in Canberra? Because from what I understand, like I've only been there to play football, but there doesn't seem to be much happening down there.
It's a big country town. It's literally a big country town. What did you do with yourself
growing up?
Nah, run amok. Look, I used to ride my BMX everywhere. There wasn't a whole lot. We used to go down to like Pine Island and things like that, like the old Murrumbidgee River. Just go swimming in there, and you fishing Tuggeranong Lake and Lake Burley Griffin and that. But I guess you can find stuff to do, but there's not a whole lot to do like up here where you can, I live 5 minutes from a boat ramp. I can go drop the boat in, or drive down to Cronulla and go for a swim, or go to a cafe and get some coffee, or go to the city. So like where we are, it's a great spot because we're 40 minutes to the city and 15 minutes to the beach. So
very, very blessed. All right, man, I want to move into the next topic, and probably the most important topic of today, and that's the mental health. and something that you're a very big advocate and passionate about, mate. Tell me, I guess, some of the struggles that you've been through with your mental health.
Yeah, look, it's no secret. I've never sort of hid it or anything. I'm pretty vocal about it because I know that a lot of people are embarrassed or ashamed about it, and that's the whole point of me speaking up, is to try to break that down. That there's nothing to be ashamed about. I think it's like 1 in 5 people suffer mental illness at some stage in their life, and it's something that needs to be spoken about more. But I think the more it's spoken about, the easier it's going to be to speak about.
Yep.
So, again, that's why I'm so vocal about it. A few of my struggles were just, injuries at a time that I wanted to be playing the best footy I could be.
Yep.
So I'd just come out of, the World Cup win, just signed with Cronulla.
Yep.
And then I had a shocking year, like injury-wise and that sort of thing. Just couldn't get on the field and, sort of just snowballed. And then, all this stuff in the media and the rest of it. And, again, I started buying into it too much. Now I can't remember the last time I read a paper.
Yeah,
so
it's awesome.
You just learn from it, and I ended up in rehab at the end of 18.
Yep.
And I spent a month over there, and just the people I was with.
Talk me through that, because that was in Thailand.
Yeah, I went to Thailand for.
So talk me through that process. How did you, I guess, find that facility? Did you get a recommendation, and then obviously spent some time in Thailand in a completely different scenario? Like, how was that?
Yeah, so Shane Smith, who's a good friend of mine now, he used to work with the Sharks. He sort of just reached out to me and said, look, a few of the boys have come to me, said they know you're struggling, whatever. And I said, yeah, look, I am. And he just mentioned Thailand to me and like the rehab facility, and said it might be a good idea. And I said, yeah, all right. So we spoke about it, spoke to my wife about it, and then she sort of said, well, if it's going to help you and us in turn, because, I was shutting her out and that sort of thing, and just closing off from the world, I just jumped at it. And then 2 days later, I was on a plane to Thailand, spent a month over there. But the good thing was Jordan could come over with me for the first couple of days. So she was there with me for 2 days till I got settled in, and then she flew back home. And then, it was straight into work. And, we woke up every day, had a check-in every morning. How we going? How was the night? Whatever. And then you have your brekkie, and then you got your meetings in the morning. You got your group meetings in the morning. Yep. And then you've got like a whole schedule for each day. You got like physio, you got PT, activities, and then like art classes and things like that. And then obviously you got your counselling and psychology sessions as well with your doctor or something like that. So yeah, every day for, Monday to Friday was like that. And then Saturday was our activity day where we'd go out. I think we went to a water park one week. We went to like this 3D art gallery another week, and then, just things like that. And then Sunday was our day to do whatever. And there's a big pool in the middle. And so we just kicked back by the pool. And like I said, some of the people in there just really opened my eyes and like made me realize that, I'm going through a shit time, but these guys have got it so much worse. And, I can't be sitting here feeling sorry for myself. I've got to try and get better and that sort of thing. And that's when I got real good at the mindfulness and all that sort of thing, and just checking in with myself. And, came back, started a diary, like all that sort of thing. Like I was in there with guys that couldn't get off heroin for 20 plus years and things like that, and then I'm looking at myself going, I got a bit of anxiety, a bit of depression, a few painkillers here and there, but like looking at that and then just going, shit, what am I doing? So
man, that's like, so was there many people, like obviously you're from Australia going to Thailand, was there many other people from like around the world doing
so
the
there was
thing?
There was a South African, there was a couple of Americans, there was an actual there was a couple of Kiwis there too. There was like 3 Kiwis there as well. You? One of them recognised me, but he was telling me he'd been on LSD and acid for so long, he hadn't watched footy in for like 5 years. So he remembers me from when I was at Canberra, but that was it.
Jeez, so, I probably shouldn't laugh at that.
It's funny, but like at the same time, he's sitting there laughing about it because he's in there trying to get better and that sort of thing. He'd been in there for 2 months, and it was his second stint. So guys that are still trying to get better after however many times. I got a lot of respect for people like that, because they're still trying to make their life better. They're still doing the hard yards, trying to do the right things and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, no matter how many times you fail, if you feel like you still need to get better, just keep doing it.
Definitely. You briefly touched on your wife, Jordan, who came over and supported you. How's her support been for you, I guess, going through something like that?
Yeah, look, I've known her since 2013 now, and yeah, look, to be honest, if she wasn't right by my side the whole way through, I don't know if I'd still be playing footy or if I'd even still be here, to be honest. I've said it before, she saved my life, probably more than once, to be honest. But yeah, look, she's rock solid, and you know, I can't think of enough.
That's unreal. What are some of the signs people should look out for when dealing with mental health?
I think it all depends on the person that you're kind of dealing with. You know, you might get guys that are quiet and that sort of thing. You might not be able to pick up on it so easily. But
definitely, 'cause that's the hardest thing, I feel.
Yeah, just checking in on them. You know, you might pick up the slightest little difference in body language or something like that, and just checking in on them. And if they say they're all right, just checking in on them again. You know, ask twice, because usually the first time you ask someone, they're going to be like, "Nah, I'm all good. It's all right. I'll be fine, whatever." And then you know, you got guys that are out there, and you know, they're a bit of a larrikin, love a laugh and muck around with the boys and that. And then when they withdraw, that's probably the biggest sign. And they're not their usual self. And I think that's probably how I got picked up on in 18, because you know, I'm a bit of a character, and I love shit stirring the boys and whatever else. And you know, some days I just go in there and I'm a zombie.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome. And what are some of the healthy practices, I guess, that, you know, you just touched on journaling and things like that, but what are some of the practices that I guess people should be doing regularly to ensure that they've got, you know, good mental health?
Yeah, I think for me, the doctor I had in Thailand really sort of woke me up to everything, and I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks and things like that before I went over, and he kind of like taught me how to trigger it, like pinpoint it, sorry, not trigger it, pinpoint it. So I still remember I was driving home from training in 18, and I think I just had a convo with Fleno, and it wasn't anything bad. It was just about like the season and like my injury and that sort of thing, and there was all that stuff in the media. And then, you know, I started getting a tight chest on the way home. I had to pull over. And then I just got home, and I thought to myself, like, going on from that, after I got out of rehab, I look back on it now and I'm like, well, yeah, there's like a few triggers there that would have led to that. So now just that mindfulness and realizing, you know, when I'm on the downward, to sort of pick up on it, and, you know, and then probably write it down in my journal and say, like, this is why I'm feeling like this, or, you know, that sort of thing. And obviously, you know, in the bubble it was hard, but outside of the bubble, I'd usually see my my psychiatrist, my doctor, you know, once every month, once every 6 weeks, depending on how I'm going.
Yep, I love that. And I think it's even rubbed off into some of our teammates, like, you know, someone this year, Braden Ueli, who, you know, has openly spoken to us that he's gone through a few struggles by himself. Obviously, he's faced a lot of challenges this year through COVID, his family being at home, living by himself, etc. And he started to journal, which I feel like has really, you know, calmed him down, opened him up a bit more. Like, he's been vulnerable and sharing. And I think, you know, being vulnerable, being open, especially to your teammates, to your family, to your friends, I feel like that is such a underestimated, you know, thing to do.
Yeah, and I think, you know, he's in the same class as me for our counselling diploma as well. And I think over the last sort of probably 12 to 18 months, like the group that we've got, it's like me, Andrew, Fafita, Ronnie, Braids, and then a couple of the other young boys, and like just having them in there and listening to me and Andrew talk, I think it rubs off a bit on them. And
I love that.
You know, they really do feel like, you look at me and Bob, like we're not, like, we don't look like anything that good, do we? And then, you know, we're speaking about mental health and speaking about our struggles and how down we've been, and
being vulnerable.
Exactly. And then, you know, you got these young guys who want to be big and tough and whatever, but they see us and they're like, oh, it's okay then, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Well, over the last few years, you've done some incredible work with some really good organisations such as Headspace, Mental Health, Bear Cottage, Black Dog Institute, and a number of other charities. But talk to me about, I guess, you know, the way you've given back and why you feel that it's so important.
Yeah, I think the reason I do that sort of stuff is because I get enjoyment out of it. I don't do it for accolades or anything like that. I do it outside of any public eye or media eyes if I could. It's just something I enjoy doing. I love giving back to the community, and you know, Bear Cottage was one close to my heart because of a young kid named Gabe. Yep. I met him a few years ago, and he had brain cancer. He went into remission, and then it came back, and he was deemed terminal. So he spent his last couple of months in Bear Cottage, and just the work they did in there, you know, given all his, you know, childhood dreams the chance to come true in those last couple of months. So he wanted to be in the army and that sort of thing. They got him a whole cadet uniform made up with the hat, the badge, everything. And
I think I remember seeing that.
And then you know, he wanted to go paintballing and stuff. So the coppers picked him up in a helicopter, took him out, went paintballing, and then he loved reptiles and things like that. So Taronga Zoo brought a heap of reptiles and stuff over. And
was that when you shaved your mullet?
Yeah, that was why I shaved my mullet, was for Bear Cottage, but that was probably a year after Gabe passed, I think. It was just because of the work they do, and you know, they don't really get that much funding either, but they're always trying to do things with the Starlight Foundation and all that sort of stuff as well. So it's just, you know, a good time to be able to help out and things like that. And then again this year, there's a guy at Prestige Roofing, I think he's out Manly way, and he hit me up, and he was doing something for Bear Cottage too, and so, you know, us being in the bubble, I couldn't really do much, but I just helped repost everything and gave a pair of boots to
spread awareness,
for the raffle and all that sort of thing to raise money, and just did as much as I could while we're in the bubble. But yeah, again, it's just something I enjoy doing, so you know, I'll continue to do it.
Yeah, man, I love that. All right, let's move into some fan questions. So, I had a few people send a few questions in on the Instagram story. So, thank you to everyone who sent one in. I've got the first one here is from nherb85. What advice would Josh give to his 18-year-old self?
Don't do it. Nah.
Do it.
Look, yeah, I think you've still got to do it. You still got to be young. You still got to live.
Learn.
You got to live and learn. Yep. You know, you can, you know, fall off the bike, but it's how you get back on and which way you go from that. So, you know, again, I don't regret anything, but there's probably a few things that have shaped me into who I am and made me change the way I am a little bit. Yeah,
I love that, because at the end of the day, like, you've got to live your life and you got to make mistakes, but it's what you do next. Like, it's how you learn. Either learn from it or you make the same mistake again.
You can keep going down that path, or you can, you know, straighten up and
100%.
Do the right thing.
100%. All right. Awesome answer. Next question is from Skits.Houston. What made you decide to join Mindfreak? Is there any other people, you know, content creators, or you just were pretty keen to join them?
I mean, I always liked, you know, gaming and that sort of thing. And then I sort of thought, well, it's something that I can be myself on. Yep. So you'll see us on TV and that sort of thing, and we're all just straight, you know, buttoned up, everything, and just doing the right thing and saying the right things. But I feel like when I'm streaming or you know, creating content and gaming and that sort of thing, I can be myself. I
love that.
You know, chuck out a swear word here and there and not get in trouble for it. And you know, that's probably the biggest thing. And then obviously I don't go into footy too much. Like, I'll talk about myself, but I won't talk about anyone else if people ask me questions about it and that sort of thing. And then obviously just my opinions on, you know, who's going to win certain games and, you know, that sort of thing I'll speak up on. But other than that, yeah.
I love that. And you just said, you know, be yourself, and which is what I think is unreal. You can show personality, because what people see, you know, every week when they watch us play, they see us play the game, and then they might see a post-game interview, and you're probably more than not saying, how was the game today, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was a good game, full credit to the boys, blah, 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 giving away an answer. But then, you know, when you're gaming and streaming and people, you know, they're having genuine conversations with you, and you're genuinely sitting there, like, just being yourself. And it's the same as me. And, you know, if I'm doing vlogs on YouTube or I'm doing podcasts, I'm like, I'm just me. I'm having fun. Like, this is genuinely me.
And that's the thing too. You get sort of, there's a persona that's made up of you from media and, you know, your spotlight or whatever, and people get,
and your performances on the field.
And people get an opinion of you by the way you look, the way that, you know, people have said something about you and that sort of thing. But that's me. And if anyone's ever met me, they've always said I'm polite, I'm a nice guy and whatever else. And, you know, the tattoos are just for show. That doesn't mean anything to me. You know, like, I grew up in housing commission. You know, I don't have an ego. I'm respectful and that sort of thing. And that's who I am. And a lot of people realize that when they see me.
I love that. All right. Next question is from NT_7676. Sorry. Best moment in your career?
There's a couple actually. So obviously my debut. I was 18 years old, Canberra kid. Never thought, you know, I was told when I was 12 that one out of every age group have made it. And then, you know, that same year, me, Croaks, and like 3 of the same boys from the group that we played in Canberra all debuted. So that was good. And then obviously winning the Origin Series, winning the Brad Fittler medal, and then winning the World Cup. That was awesome.
There's the 3 epic things.
Yeah.
Just to quickly, with your debut, were you in the team list? Did you find out early in the week,
Yeah.
or like how did you find out?
Yeah, so I was named. It was round 4, Canberra, Monday night, freezing cold as usual in the middle of winter. And it was against the Cowboys and Thurston. Thurston was just going on a tear, as he usually does. And my first few weeks actually in first grade were a bit of a baptism by fire. We played Cowboys against Thurston. I was playing fullback, so obviously just a kicking game of Thurston. The next week we played Sharks when Baz was there.
Yep.
So I had him, and then we played Broncos the week after with Lockyer. So the first 3 weeks were pretty testing.
Incredible. All right, next question is from Nathan Clarkey. How has Josh Dugan evolved over his playing career?
I think I've just gotten a lot smarter and probably a lot more professional. I realised you can't just go by natural talent. You got to do little things outside, like look after your body. Not drinking when you got a cork or something like that. That's something that I was pretty bad with when I was younger. I'd get like a little niggle or whatever and then just go have a beer with the boys and that. But that was Canberra, there wasn't much else to do. And I was young and I was just like, it is what it is. I'll be right. I'm young. I'll get through it. And then it sort of come back to bite me a bit. And then, like I said, when I got to Dragons and realised the older boys and what they were doing, that really opened my eyes. And then, just being more professional and doing the right things.
All right, last question is from Braden_Hill. If you could have played one sport other than league professionally, what would it be?
Probably golf.
Golf?
I'm no good at it. I'm no good at it, but golf. But probably basketball. I love basketball, NFL even. I used to like think I could do it. And then it just got older and older, and slower and slower, and I was like, that's gone.
Just quickly on basketball, I know you're a massive Blazers fan. How'd you get into following the Blazers? Because I know you have like dialogue with some of the players on Twitter.
Yeah, I've spoken to CJ and Dame a few times and that sort of thing, and my missus actually organised a video message from Dame for my 30th birthday, so that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. But Paddy Mills. I went to school with Paddy in Canberra at Morris Brothers, and then he got drafted by him. So he, I used to follow the Celtics because of KG and Ray Allen and Rondo. I used to love those 3 and Paul Pierce and that sort of thing. But then, when Paddy got drafted by the Blazers, I sort of just started following them, and then Dame and CJ and LaMarcus Aldridge when he was there. So Drexler. So
Yeah, epic, mate. All right, dudes, we'll wrap it up there, brother. Mate, thank you so much for coming on today, bros. I really appreciate
dramas,
it.
brother. Appreciate it.
I'll be seeing you shortly in a few weeks. Well, we're probably
back into it.
We're probably looking at each other going, oh, man, what are we doing?
We won't even be able to speak.
But I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to going back. No bubble. Actually go to a few cafes, sit down with the boys, have some lunch.
In between training sessions, being able to get out of there rather than just sit there.
Yeah. All right, brothers. Thank you very much.
No dramas.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening today. That is the Chad Townsend Show with Josh Dugan. Make sure you check it out on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And we'll see you on the next episode.